My celebrity wife, Chloe, suspected I was cheating. So, she riddled our home with hidden cameras and started a 24/7 live stream. I, of course, was completely oblivious. The day it all started, the moment she walked out the door, I quickly sent a voice message. My wife just left for work. You can head over now. The words had barely left my mouth when the live stream chat exploded. OMG, he's a total scumbag. He has a wife that gorgeous and he's still messing around? At that moment, Chloe, driving to work, stared at her phone, her face like ice. She had been so confident in me, which is why she dared to start this live stream in the first place. She never imagined I'd fail the test so spectacularly. Is he really cheating on me in our own home? Just then, my phone pinged. I played the voice message and a very pleasant female voice came through. Okay, I'll be there in 15 minutes. That voice clip sent the live stream into an even bigger frenzy. Looks like it's confirmed. This girl's in a hurry. 15 minutes. I really want to see what this other woman looks like. Chloe was fuming, desperate to rush home and tear that homewrecker's face off. Seeing her state, the show's director tried to calm her down. Chloe, maybe it's not what you think. Try not to get too worked up. Chloe stared at the live stream, her expression frigid and silent. Her fans in the chat saw her icy demeanor and sent a flood of comforting messages, but it was as if she didn't see them. Her eyes were locked on me. She still couldn't believe I had the audacity to invite someone over to our house. Wasn't I afraid she might come home unexpectedly? Just then, the me on screen suddenly grabbed his phone and called Chloe. Her face was cold, but she adjusted her tone slightly, answering the call as she normally would. Hey, honey, what's up? Nothing much. Just wanted to make sure you got to the office safely. Hearing my words, Chloe's expression grew even colder. In the past, she would have been touched, but right now, she felt a chill spread across her face. This call wasn't about concern for her. It was clearly to confirm she wouldn't be coming home unexpectedly. Chloe desperately suppressed her emotions and said coolly, I'm at work. I have to go to a meeting, so I'll hang up now. Okay, as long as you're there. I ordered takeout for dinner, all your favorites, I said with a smile. After a few more words, I hung up. In the live stream, the comments flew by. Wow, you can tell he's a pro at this. That call was totally to check if Chloe was going to come back home. With a bang, Chloe pushed open the studio door, her face grim, and sat down in her spot. Her assistant greeted her timidly, Hey, Chloe. In the control room, the assistant looked at Chloe's icy face and asked quietly, Chloe, try to calm down. Does he usually call you like this often? Hearing this, Chloe gritted her teeth and said, at least 10 times a month. The assistant was stunned. That often? The director beside her was also shocked. Does he have the stamina of a horse or something? The live stream was immediately flooded with comments calling me a scumbag. Of course, I was oblivious to all of this. I had just boiled a kettle of water and was sitting on the sofa, scrolling through my phone. A few moments later, the doorbell rang. That doorbell instantly silenced the live stream chat, and in the control room, Chloe clenched her fists, her eyes glued to the screen. I smiled as I opened the door and placed a pair of slippers on the floor. A tall, long-haired woman walked in. As she bent down to change into the slippers, her graceful figure was even more captivating. Then, she sat down on the sofa with me. Seeing the woman's face, the live stream chat erupted with comments again. In the control room, Chloe saw the scene and, connecting it to my earlier voice message, was now convinced I was cheating. She wanted nothing more than to rush home and confront me. Chloe, don't panic yet. Let's just see what's really going on, the director advised. Chloe said nothing, her gaze icily fixed on the screen. On screen, the woman looked at me impatiently. Enough of this. It's the same thing every time. When can I come see you without all the secrecy? Soon. In a month, you'll be able to come over openly. I'm going to tell Chloe everything, and then we won't have to be so sneaky. When the livestream viewers heard my words, they interpreted them in a completely different way. Wow. It sounds like he's going to divorce Chloe. Poor Chloe. Is he leaving me? That bastard. Chloe cursed through her tears. The director handed her a tissue. Chloe, don't cry yet. If he's going to leave you, you need to start thinking about the division of assets. Yeah, that's right, Chloe. You have to look out for yourself, the assistant chimed in. Chloe couldn't hear a word they were saying, wiping her tears while staring intently at the screen. In the house, Jessica heard what I said and was a bit surprised. Tell your wife. I nodded. I had met Jessica 5 years ago through her grandfather. She only knew that her grandfather respected me deeply, but not why. She had asked, but her grandfather never explained, only saying that I was a very remarkable person. Jessica asked in astonishment. I know you were a top national scholar and a professor at Aurelian University. What else is there to confess to your wife? Tell me." Jessica's words made the live stream chat explode. Is he bragging? A top scholar working as a programmer? A professor at Aurelian University? That's so fake. What a ridiculous lie. A top national scholar? A professor at Aurelian? That's one of the best universities in the country. In the control room, Chloe and the director were also stunned. The director asked, completely bewildered, "Chloe, is any of that true?" Chloe stopped crying, sensing something was off. She wiped her tears and shook her head. "No way. My husband is just an ordinary guy. He's never mentioned being a top scholar. And a professor at Aurelian is even more impossible. I've never even seen him go to DC in all these years." When the live stream viewers heard Chloe's words, the chat filled up again. "I knew he was lying. This guy is definitely just making things up to impress women. Exactly. He's got to be a con artist." In an instant, the viewers started making their own predictions. On the screen, I smiled at Jessica and said, "You'll find out in a month." The time isn't right yet. Jessica grew even more curious. "What other identity do you have? What could make my grandfather respect you so much? And what kind of secret do you have to hide from your own wife?" Although Jessica's curiosity was piqued, she saw that I wasn't going to say anything more. Finally, she relented. "Fine, I'll wait a month." Then, she looked at me and chuckled. "Do you think your wife would be shocked if she found out you were a top national scholar and a professor at Aurelian University?" Hearing this, I just smiled. Maybe, but compared to my real identity, being a scholar and a professor is nothing. At this point, the live stream viewers were also getting suspicious, and many of them started searching online. In the control room, the show's director also began to investigate. After 3 minutes, he stared at the information on his computer screen and exclaimed, "It's true. He was the top national scholar in 2018. The information was immediately displayed on the live stream. "Whoa, this is my god, a top national scholar? This is insane. It's real. I found it, too." Chloe was completely shocked, staring blankly at the words on the screen. He really was a top national scholar. The director continued his search and quickly found a video of a reporter interviewing me in 2018. In the video, the reporter asked me how it felt to be a top national scholar, and I calmly replied, "It was expected. I've always been a top student. Besides English, I've always gotten perfect scores in all other subjects." The live stream viewers were now watching the same interview. In the control room, Chloe was completely floored. Looking at my records and the interview, she had to admit it was all true. The director, like a curious child, turned to her and asked, "You've been married for 5 years, and he never once mentioned being a top student?" Chloe thought back, but couldn't recall a single instance. She answered the director with certainty, "Never." Everyone in the control room was stunned. Anyone with such an achievement would surely boast about it, especially while dating, yet he had never said a word. He didn't tell Chloe for all these years? Is he a saint with no ego at all? Maybe it's just like he said in the interview, it was just an expected thing for him. The viewers suddenly shifted to another topic. Can anyone check if he's a professor at Aurelian University? Yeah, someone look it up. I just checked online, and to be a university professor, you have to have made significant contributions to your field. If he's really a professor at Aurelian, that's incredible. In the control room, the director said, "I know a professor at Aurelian. I'll give him a call." All the viewers were glued to the director, eager to find out if I was really a professor there. The director made a call, and a few seconds later, a middle-aged man's voice came through. Well, Mr. Director, what made you think of calling me?" "Professor King, I need to ask you a favor." "What is it?" "I'll help if I can. It's nothing major. I just heard there's a professor at your university named Ethan Miller. I was wondering if you know him." "Ethan Miller? The name sounds familiar. Hold on, let me check." The sound of furious typing could be heard over the phone. After about 2 minutes, the man said, "Found him. There is indeed a professor named Ethan Miller. He became a professor 3 years ago. Looks very young in the photo." Because the director had the call on speaker, everyone in the live stream heard it clearly. A professor at Aurelian University. It's true. The viewers were all in shock. In the control room, Chloe also found it hard to believe. Her husband of 5 years was a professor at Aurelian? How could this be real? Chloe then said to the director, "Can you ask him to send a photo? Maybe it's just someone with the same name." Less than a minute later, the director's phone buzzed with a message. It was a freshly taken photo of a personnel file, and the person in the picture was undoubtedly me. The identity of an Aurelian University professor was confirmed. Who is this guy? He's only 28. I almost forgot. Ethan is only 28. A 28-year-old university professor. The show's director was also stunned at this point. He had thought this episode would be fun, maybe discovering if I had a secret stash of cash or something. He never imagined that the show would uncover such a monumental secret identity. Beside him, Chloe was also completely bewildered. She had been married to me for 5 years and thought she knew me inside and out, but she never expected this. She gritted her teeth and cursed inwardly. I'm his wife. A husband and wife should be honest with each other, but he hid something this important from me. Does he even see me as his wife, or is there some reason he couldn't tell me? You guys are forgetting some details. It seems like he has another identity, one that can't be made public. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. It does seem like there's something else. Let me guess, the richest man in the world? The viewers started making all sorts of guesses, their curiosity completely hooked. Back in the room, Jessica saw my calm expression and sighed in resignation. Forget it, I won't ask. You won't tell me anyway. In a month, will I get to know all your secrets? I nodded gently. In a month, I won't hide a single thing. Hearing this, Jessica looked at me with anticipation. I hope your hidden identity doesn't disappoint me. I looked at her with amusement. And what if my real identity does disappoint you? At that, Jessica stared at me seriously. Then I'll punch you. You can't get my hopes up just to let me down. No way. The viewers who heard our conversation couldn't stop laughing. This girl is great. She says whatever she wants. In the control room, Chloe heard our exchange, and her face grew even colder. From what she had seen, even though Jessica wasn't my mistress, the fact that a man and a woman were alone together, talking so freely, still made her very unhappy. You just wait, she thought to herself. When have you ever come over and I haven't made you something delicious? I chuckled. Jessica smiled contentedly. I've already ordered the ingredients. They'll be here soon. In truth, the main reason Jessica came to see me was to enjoy my cooking. Is your husband a good cook? The assistant asked curiously. Hearing this, a grim-faced Chloe gritted her teeth. Since we got married, that jerk has been in the kitchen exactly once. The dish he made was as salty as a pickle. I haven't let him near the kitchen since. Chloe's comment made the live stream even more lively. Ah, same here. I've never revealed my professional chef skills, so now my wife does all the cooking. Bro, my wife found my culinary certificate and beat me up. Now I'm the one who cooks every day. Chloe watched the comments, her face ashen. She remembered how when they were dating, she had told me everything without hiding a single thing. Yet he had hidden so much from her. Before long, the doorbell rang. The ingredients had arrived. I glanced at Jessica. We're short on time, so I'll just make a few simple dishes. A clear consommé with bok choy, a shredded tofu soup, some lion's head meatballs, and braised pork belly. Sounds great. Jessica nodded eagerly. Although she would have loved more of my state dinner-level dishes, there clearly wasn't enough time. I took the ingredients into the kitchen, washed and prepped the vegetables, and then started on the first dish, the shredded tofu soup. I placed a block of silken tofu on the cutting board and began to shred it. This dish is the ultimate test of knife skills, requiring thousands of paper-thin tofu threads. At this moment, the live stream chat became even more active. Those knife skills are amazing. Ethan really looks like a professional chef. In the control room, Chloe watched my expert chopping and ground her teeth in frustration. Even though she wasn't a professional. After years of cooking, she could tell from my knife work alone that my culinary skills were top-notch. Seeing her reaction, the assistant laughed. Now you know Ethan can cook. He's been lying to you for years. How are you going to get back at him? Hearing this, Chloe said with a straight face, when this show is over, I'm making him cook for the rest of his life. The viewers laughed at her comment. Ethan is doomed. Poor Ethan. He has no idea his wife has discovered all his secrets. I was busy in the kitchen, having finished the tofu and now starting on the chicken. Jessica stood behind me, watching my busy form as if admiring a work of art. Same rules as always. I'll have the food ready by 10:30, and you need to be finished and gone by 11:30. My wife gets off work at 11:30. I know, you're such an egg, Jessica replied, annoyed. The viewers burst out laughing. It's like they're criminals. If Chloe walked in on this, she'd definitely think Ethan was cheating. In the control room, Chloe heard me and couldn't help but laugh out of anger. He was afraid she'd come home suddenly? Fine. She'd mess with him a little. Once he finished cooking, she would call and tell him she was on her way home. The assistant next to her imagined the scene and burst out laughing. That's going to be hilarious. In the kitchen, Jessica looked at me and asked, Grandpa told me the White House executive chef once compared skills with you. He said you were even better than him. I replied while working, something like that happened, but him saying I was better was just him being modest. Our skills are probably on the same level. That's still incredible, Jessica said, looking at me with admiration. A top national scholar, a professor at Aurelian, and cooking skills comparable to the White House chef. It was all too impressive. And on top of that, he was so handsome. Soon it was 10:30. I had finished several dishes, all of which looked, smelled, and tasted delicious, making one's mouth water. I served a bowl of rice and handed it to Jessica. Hurry up and eat, then get going. Jessica rolled her eyes. Your wife isn't coming back. What are you so afraid of? I took a sip of water and said calmly, even though my wife doesn't come home for lunch, she sometimes comes back for a nap. Just eat quickly and leave. Holding her bowl, Jessica said, even if Chloe saw us, it wouldn't be a big deal, right? We're not doing anything wrong. I glanced at her. She'd have to believe that. At that moment, in the control room, Chloe picked up her phone and called me. Seeing her name on my screen, I immediately had a bad feeling. I answered, trying to keep my voice calm. What's wrong, honey? Chloe grinned and said, honey, the power went out at the office, so I'm getting off early. I'll be home in 10 minutes. Hearing that, I panicked. Okay. I'll wait for you. After hanging up, I nervously looked at Jessica, who was happily eating. Stop eating. Chloe will be back in a few minutes. What? Jessica panicked, too. If Chloe saw her eating alone with me, it would be impossible to explain. I didn't have time to think. I rushed to the kitchen, grabbed some containers, and packed up all the food. Jessica frantically took the containers, quickly changed her shoes, and left. I immediately cleared the table, put away the dishes, and opened the windows to air out the room. After washing the dishes in 3 minutes, I finished the cleanup and sat on the sofa, panting. I checked the time and breathed a sigh of relief. Phew, just in time. That was close. At that moment, countless viewers in the live stream were laughing their heads off. In the control room, Chloe and the director also found it hilarious. Chloe, in particular, was laughing so hard she was shaking, feeling a sweet sense of revenge. But that wasn't enough. Chloe picked up her phone again. The next second, seeing Chloe's call, I was confused. What's up, honey? Chloe sighed. Oh, honey, the power just came back on at the office. My boss wants me to go back to work. When I heard that, a million thoughts raced through my mind. But I had to pretend to be calm. Oh, okay. I understand. Hearing my response, Chloe smiled. Okay. After hanging up, she happily pumped her fists in the air. Ethan must be so frustrated right now. He worked so hard on that food, and he didn't even get a single bite. Ha ha ha. In the control room, Chloe was now very happy. He had brought another woman home behind her back, and even though nothing happened, she was still angry. Now that she had messed with him a bit, she felt half of her anger dissipate. The show's director was also pleased. The episode's outcome was unexpectedly entertaining. He smiled at Chloe and said, "It's only the first day, and we've already discovered so many of your husband's secrets. Based on today, he probably has more, and we'll find them out in the next few days." Chloe's curiosity was piqued. What else was her husband hiding? Something that even Jessica didn't know? He didn't seem to care about being a top scholar or a professor. Not only were Chloe and the director speculating, but the countless viewers were also wondering, what other identity was he hiding, and why? At this moment, everyone was guessing if I had another identity. On the screen, I took out my phone, dialed a number, and put it on speaker. The call connected, and a middle-aged man's voice came through. "Professor Miller, what can I do for you? I'm at your service. You're a chairman. What could I possibly order you to do?" The man's tone was very respectful. "You can't say that, sir. You're the real genius here. The company wouldn't be where it is today without your support." The man asked curiously, "Professor Miller, you're obviously very wealthy. Why don't you tell your wife?" I didn't answer him directly, but smiled and said, "In a month, I'll tell my wife everything. Then we won't have to pretend like this anymore." The man laughed. "If your wife knew how much money you have, her jaw would probably hit the floor." We chatted for a few more moments before hanging up, and the live stream chat exploded again. Whoa, it looks like Ethan's hidden identity is about to be revealed. The person on the phone was a company chairman, and he was so respectful to Ethan. It seems like Ethan is super rich. Why would he hide that from his wife? The director in the control room was stunned. He thought the show might lose momentum after the initial excitement, but now another bombshell had dropped. The assistant looked at Chloe and asked, Chloe, have you ever seen the balance on Ethan's bank account? Chloe shook her head helplessly. She was just as confused. He hasn't had a job in 5 years, and he only goes out for a few days at a time. He shouldn't have much money. Just then, a comment appeared in the chat. Chloe's words are making me think, could it be illegal money? Think about it. Why would he hide it from his wife? It's probably because the money isn't clean. Chloe saw the comments, and her face turned pale. The assistant quickly reassured her, don't listen to them. They're just guessing. The director added, I agree with Sarah. The assistant's name. Ethan's money probably comes from that company. On the screen, I was leaning back on the sofa, watching TV, looking very relaxed. Suddenly, my phone rang. Chief Anderson, what's up? Why the call? It's been a while. I was thinking of coming over for a drink tomorrow. I laughed. Chief, if you just want to eat my cookie, you can just say so. Ha ha. Well then, I won't be shy. We talked for a few more minutes before hanging up. On the other side of town, in the Austin Police Chief's office, Chief Anderson had a faint smile on his face as he watched the interesting show Secret Lives. The viewers started commenting again. This Chief Anderson, is he going to expose another one of Ethan's identities, like that woman did? Chloe saw the comment, thought for a moment, and said, I've never heard of any Chief Anderson. The assistant was a bit speechless. How many of Ethan's acquaintances do you actually know? Chloe thought about it. I've met some. 2 years ago at his class reunion, I met about 20 of his classmates, but I can't remember their faces. The assistant face-palmed. What about his friends? How many do you know? Chloe answered confidently, 1, but he's living abroad now. After saying that, Chloe's expression hardened. The woman from before, Jessica, and the Chief Anderson he just spoke to. She didn't know either of them and they both seemed to be very close with Ethan. The viewers started commenting again. Chloe, you poor thing. Your husband hides everything from you. His identity, his past, the people he knows. You're completely in the dark. Chloe read the comments and felt a pang of self-pity. She was Ethan's wife. She had given him her whole heart, yet he kept everything from her. Soon it was time to leave work. Chloe said goodbye to the director and drove straight home. After the live stream ended, the assistant hesitated and said to the director, Sir, this live show could easily violate someone's privacy. For example, that woman who was eating earlier, we recorded her, too. What if she sues? The director just smiled. Don't worry. The production team has already considered these issues. It will be handled properly. The assistant nodded and didn't say anything more. The next morning, while eating breakfast, I asked Chloe, Are you coming home for lunch today? Hearing this, Chloe was speechless. She had expected me to ask. If she came home for lunch, then that Chief Anderson wouldn't be coming over. Thinking about how I'd asked her the same question every few days for years, Chloe felt a surge of anger, but she still answered calmly, No, I won't be back for lunch. The live stream was already filled with viewers. This is weird. What's there to hide? Yeah, it's normal for friends to come over. There's no need to be so secretive about it, right? On screen, I was on the phone. Chief, what time will you be here? Around 10. I have a few things to take care of first. All right, no rush. I hung up and went to prepare the ingredients. It wasn't until 9:30 that Chief Anderson finished his work and started driving. Yesterday, after receiving instructions from his superiors, he had investigated the Secret Lives production team and found it was a brand new show. To add to Ethan's mystique, his superiors had specifically asked him to make an appearance on the live stream to get the audience guessing. The higher-ups wanted to use entertainment to reveal Ethan's identity, which would attract more public attention. But how did they know the Secret Lives show was focused on Ethan? Seems like Ethan has no idea he's being live-streamed. Could it be that the higher-ups have him under 24-hour surveillance? The thought seemed a bit unrealistic. After arriving, Chief Anderson glanced at the black production van parked downstairs and hurried upstairs. Before long, he appeared on the live stream. I've been so busy lately, I haven't been able to come by for a meal. When I retire from being the police chief, I'll be here every day. The moment he said that, the live stream chat exploded with comments. The title police chief sent a cold sweat down the director's back. Live streaming someone without their consent was illegal. The production team had anticipated such issues and planned to solve them with money, but could money solve this? The chat was flying. It's over. It's over. The show is going to be cancelled. The director looked at the comments, then at the chief on screen and started to panic. What should he do? Stop the broadcast or continue? Stopping would mean huge losses, but continuing, who would bear the consequences? This Chief Anderson might not even be the real police chief. He tried to reassure himself. The viewers heard the director and chimed in. It's easy to find out his identity. Information on people in his position is public. Just search online. Right? I'm searching now. The director also immediately searched online and found him right away, complete with a photo. He looked at the chief on the screen, then at the photo online, and his face turned pale. Oh my God, he's the real deal. The director felt a bitter taste in his mouth. Wasn't Ethan just supposed to be a programmer? How did he know such a high-level official? Chloe was even more bewildered. How did her husband know such an important person? And why had he hidden it from her? On the screen, I had already brought the finished dishes to the table. Chief, if you want to eat my cooking in the future, you'll probably have to come to DC. Chief Anderson was enjoying his meal when he heard me and paused. Why is that? I chuckled. I'm planning to move to DC, but I'll come back to visit every year. The chief asked, confused, why move to DC all of a sudden? Isn't it nice here in Austin? I just smiled and didn't explain further. He wasn't aware of my true identity. After it's revealed next month, I'll most likely have to move to DC. The main reason is that the things I possess have made too many other countries envious. If I stay in Austin, my family will be in danger. The comments started flying again. Ethan is moving to DC next month. Real estate there is insanely expensive. A decent-sized house would probably cost tens of millions, right? The assistant asked curiously, Chloe, are you guys moving to DC? Chloe was still in a daze, knowing nothing. Was this even her husband anymore? Since the show began, she felt like she was married to a stranger. On the live stream, Chief Anderson was savoring the delicious food. This is the best food I've ever had. None of those fancy restaurants can compare. If you became a chef, you'd make at least $50,000 a month. I smiled and said, being a chef is too tiring. I want to spend more time with my wife. I've really enjoyed these past 5 years with Chloe. Now that my identity is about to be revealed, I'll have to focus on my work. The chief laughed as he ate. Your wife doesn't know anything about your past, does she? I nodded. I've hidden it well. My wife is a bit of a romantic. She trusts me unconditionally. The chief laughed. Would Chloe be shocked to find out you were a top national scholar and an honorary professor at Aurelian? I smiled. Maybe. Those two titles are nothing special. The chief was speechless. Nothing special? Well, compared to his other identity, he supposed they were. Suddenly, the chief remembered something. Are you planning to hide this from your wife forever? I shook my head. Next month, I'll tell her everything. The chief seemed uncertain. You're going to tell her about that, too? I nodded. A flicker of confusion appeared in the chief's eyes. 4 years ago, he had signed a non-disclosure agreement forbidding him from revealing the identity of the young man before him. At the time, he had been puzzled. Did this identity really need to be kept secret? After the meal, Chief Anderson patted my shoulder and smiled. Ethan, my boy, we've known each other for 10 years. If you ever need help with anything, don't hesitate to ask. After the chief left, the live stream became lively again. So, the chief knows Ethan because he was a top national scholar. But, from what they said, the chief clearly knows about Ethan's other identity. I thought he was going to spill it. This curiosity is killing me. In the production van, the director was debating whether to stop Chief Anderson and apologize. After a moment of indecision, he picked up his phone and called the show's backer. However, before the director could finish, the person on the other end cut him off. I understand. Just do your job. I'll handle it. After hanging up, the director breathed a sigh of relief. In the control room, Chloe stared at the screen, growing more and more confused. On screen, I was lying on the sofa watching TV, looking bored. I wanted to go out, but nothing seemed interesting. Plus, because of my identity, there was a team of people secretly protecting me 24/7. Suddenly, my phone rang and I answered it immediately. President Grant. President Grant laughed on the other end. My granddaughter says the scenery around your place is lovely. I'm thinking of visiting tomorrow and I'll stop by your place for a couple of drinks first. Couldn't help but smile wryly. Another one coming for a free meal. After I hung up, the viewers started commenting again. Can't hear the other side of the call, but Ethan said he's going to the airport to pick someone up. Could it be another big shot? In the control room, Chloe was confused again. Someone else was coming to the house. The next morning, after the same routine of questions, Chloe left the house with a dark expression. As she got into the elevator, she felt a knot in her stomach. Even though she had expected it, it still bothered her. At 10 o'clock in the morning, in the main hall of the Austin airport, an energetic elderly man in a traditional suit was standing and waiting. Just then, a tall figure ran towards him. "Grandpa." The old man saw that it was Jessica. "You've been in Austin for almost 5 days now, haven't you? Have you been going to Ethan's for free meals again?" Jessica was speechless. "No, I only went once and his wife was suddenly coming home. So I got scared and ran off with the takeout box without even finishing my food." The old man laughed heartily. "Come on, let's go to Ethan's. He's probably busy in the kitchen right now." Jessica was even more exasperated. "Grandpa, why didn't you tell me earlier? I already made reservations at a restaurant and my friend is waiting for me there." Meanwhile, the viewers on the live stream were ideally scrolling through the chat. "Where's the guest? Why aren't they here yet? I've been waiting forever." They were all dying to know who today's visitor was, but there was still no sign of anyone. Just then, there was a knock at the door. Everyone heard the doorbell on the live stream and then saw me walk out of the kitchen. The viewers instantly perked up. "Damn, I've been watching since 8 a.m. They're finally here." Everyone in the control room also snapped to attention. Their eyes fixed on the screen. A middle-aged man in a suit stood at the door. He didn't look like an ordinary person. "Professor Miller, long time no see." The man seemed a bit reserved upon seeing me. The viewers saw this and started commenting. "This guy looks like a successful businessman. Why is he acting so humble in front of Ethan?" In the control room, the assistant looked at the man feeling like he looked familiar, but she couldn't place him. Chloe also stared at the screen curious. She felt like the man was acting like a subordinate in front of her husband. Seeing Mr. Davis's posture, I sighed. "You don't have to be like this. You're 20 years older than me and the chairman of a company with tens of thousands of employees. Why are you always so formal?" The live stream chat exploded. The assistant was completely bewildered. "What? The chairman of a major corporation is bowing to Professor Miller." As for Chloe, she was even more stunned. She knew her husband was mysterious, but seeing a chairman bow to Ethan with her own eyes was a huge shock. On the screen, Mr. Davis still looked very reserved. His gaze towards Ethan was complex. In his heart, Ethan was not just someone he admired, but also his family's savior. 4 years ago, his daughter was diagnosed with cancer and the doctor said she had less than a year to live. As a father, he was heartbroken and desperate watching his daughter suffer. Just then, he received news that gave him hope. A clinical trial was recruiting 100 patients to test a new drug specifically for cancer. So, he enrolled his daughter. Later, after undergoing the treatment, his daughter's condition miraculously improved and the cancer cells were completely eliminated within 2 weeks. Afterwards, he learned that the person who had cured cancer was named Ethan Miller and that the mass production of the cancer drug was being carried out at his own company. From that point on, he began to have dealings with me. Mr. Davis looked at me, his expression grave. "Professor Miller, thank you for saving my daughter." I sighed, a little exasperated. "You thank me for that every single time we meet." He remained serious, his gaze unwavering. "Professor Miller, if you hadn't developed the cure for cancer, my daughter would have been gone 3 years ago. You didn't just save her, you saved my entire family." Mr. Davis's words instantly set the livestream on fire. "Cured cancer? Is that for real? 4 years ago, how old was Ethan?" The viewers found it hard to believe. They only remembered that 4 years ago, a world-shaking announcement was made. Cancer had been cured. All types of cancer. When that news broke, the entire world was stunned. What made them even prouder was that the person who cured cancer was an American. The only mystery was that the identity of the person who cured cancer was never revealed. And now, they were being told that it was Ethan Miller. It was simply too incredible to believe. Chloe was completely bewildered. Her husband cured cancer? How did she not know? The comments were still flying with some viewers questioning if this was all just a stunt created by the show. The director assured everyone, "Rest assured, we have not hired any actors. Even if our production team was that capable, we couldn't possibly get the police chief to act for us. You're giving us too much credit." The viewers thought about it and realized the director had a point. "So, how can we prove that Ethan was the one who cured cancer?" On screen, I said to Mr. Davis, "I'm a researcher. That's just my job." Mr. Davis remained serious. "Regardless, you are my family's savior." I waved my hand. "Let's not talk about that. Have a seat." I poured 2 cups of hot tea and handed them to the men. Smiling, "President Grant, how long are you planning to stay?" The old man took a sip and smiled wryly. 3 days at most. I'm still the president of Aurelian University after all. Once I retire, I can go wherever I please. At that moment, the live stream fell completely silent. Everyone was still processing the old man's words. In the control room, the director was also shocked and, at the same time, terrified. If this really was the president of Aurelian University, he was definitely done for. He had live streamed him without his consent. The next second, the director scrambled to his computer and started typing frantically. It wasn't just the director. Countless viewers were also searching. The information was public and easy to find. Within half a minute, viewers were looking at the search results, their scalps tingling. The old man really was the president of Aurelian University. The assistant was also stunned by the information. Never imagining the show would capture such a huge revelation, Chloe instinctively covered her mouth. The president of Aurelian University was talking to her husband so familiarly. The director's feelings were different from the others. Besides shock, he felt immense fear. The police chief had already scared him, but this old man today had him terrified out of his wits. The director quickly called the show's backer, stammering and trembling, but was cut off before he could finish. "I know. Keep the stream running. I've been watching." The director breathed a sigh of relief, but still asked uncertainly, "Are you sure it's okay?" The voice on the other end was calm. "I said it's fine, so it's fine. You don't need to worry about it." On the screen, we were eating and chatting. Just then, Mr. Davis stood up, raised his glass to me, and said, "Professor Miller, once again, thank you for saving my daughter. I'd like to propose a toast to you." I stood up, a bit resigned, and clinked glasses with him. I then raised my glass to him and said, "I've caused you a lot of trouble over the years, too, making you conspire with me to deceive my wife." Mr. Davis laughed. The viewers heard our conversation and remembered the iMessage chat I had with a mysterious chairman earlier. So, this was the guy. Poor Chloe has been deceived so badly. In the control room, Chloe was in a daze. So, for the past 5 years, her husband had been conspiring with that chairman, lying to her for 5 whole years. On the stream, I looked at Mr. Davis and asked, "Are you and President Grant both staying in Austin for 3 days?" Mr. Davis shook his head. "I'm heading back tomorrow afternoon. There's a lot to handle at the company. Once I retire as chairman of Apex Pharma, I can come visit you more often." Mr. Davis's words sparked the viewers' curiosity. President Grant's identity had been revealed, but Mr. Davis's hadn't. Now, everyone was searching for chairman of Apex Pharma. The director also immediately started searching, his heart pounding as he typed, praying it wasn't another VIP. 30 seconds later, his face turned deathly pale. Chairman of Apex Pharma, named Daniel Davis. The file included his photo. The director was trembling. It was another major figure. How did we get so unlucky? We start a simple reality show and end up running into all these powerful people he can't afford to offend. He wanted to call the backer and stop the show, but then he remembered the boss was watching the stream and would surely call him, which gave him a little peace of mind. The assistant and Chloe were also looking at the online information, both completely shocked. All of Ethan's visitors were major figures. The assistant said, "The cancer drug produced by Apex Pharma is the same one that was announced 4 years ago." The viewers also realized this and a shockwave went through them. This meant that Ethan was the one who had cured cancer. "Ethan, I'm truly impressed. That cure came out 4 years ago, when Ethan was only 24. Incredible." The viewers were all amazed. Chloe was also stunned. Her husband was this brilliant. On the screen, the 3 of us continued our casual chat. President Grant looked at me, his eyes full of admiration. "I've lived a long life, but I've never met a young person as brilliant as you. Curing cancer at 24. There aren't many your age so dedicated to research." I shook my head gently. Everyone has their own path. Some want to make a lot of money, some want to be famous, and others just want a simple life. In the research world, there are others my age who are just as dedicated. President Grant nodded and then asked curiously, "So, what is your dream?" I smiled, my expression turning serious and my tone firm. "My dream is simple. I want to make healthcare affordable for everyone. I want humanity to no longer suffer from disease. I didn't finish my last sentence. Halfway through, I realized I couldn't say the rest to President Grant and Mr. Davis. They only knew I had cured cancer. They were unaware of my other research achievements. I couldn't reveal a single word without permission from my superiors. Hearing what I did say, their expressions turned solemn and their eyes filled with awe. In this day and age, how many people's dreams were to make healthcare affordable and free humanity from suffering? In that instant, I became something truly great in their eyes. They thought about the capitalists who funded research and developed drugs solely for profit. Some were even worse, deliberately choosing slow-acting, long-term treatments when they could have developed quick cures. For Capital, it was all about the money. At this moment, the number of viewers on the live stream had surpassed 700,000. Hearing my words, they were filled with a deep sense of respect and admiration. Some of the viewers who used to mindlessly follow celebrities now felt foolish. Why had they idolized celebrities? An unsung researcher like Ethan was the real star they should be following. In the control room, the assistant was also deeply moved. He looked at Chloe and said, "Chloe, you have to take good care of Professor Miller so he can focus on his work." The director nodded in agreement. Yes, exactly. A man like him needs a supportive wife to take care of him. The viewers heard the director and assistant and started sending similar comments. Chloe read them and was a bit speechless. She had been planning to take care of her mysterious husband tonight, but now that everyone was saying this, it felt strange. Chloe looked at the comments and smiled. "Don't worry, everyone. Even if you didn't say it, I take good care of my husband." At the same time, in the shadows, some people were quietly making phone calls. "Bruce, I know who cured cancer." The foreign man on the other end of the line asked urgently, "Who is it?" The caller's lips curved into a smile. Less than a minute later, his phone pinged with a payment notification. He then chuckled into the phone. "His name is Ethan Miller. He's 28 and currently lives in Austin, Texas. Just search for the show Secret Lives on TikTok and watch the live stream." 28 years old? Do you think I'm an idiot? A 28-year-old cured cancer. Bruce's tone turned icy. The caller replied calmly, "It's all true. See for yourself if you don't believe me." Then he hung up. On the live stream, 700,000 viewers paid their respects. But while countless fans were excited, hidden contacts from foreign organizations were making calls. Soon, orders were being issued from all over the world. However, I, who was happily drinking with President Grant and Mr. Davis, was completely unaware. After a few rounds, both of them were a little drunk. Seeing they were getting tipsy, I quickly got up, took 3 pills from a drawer, and gave one to each of them. "What's this?" they asked, looking at me in surprise. I smiled. "It's a sobriety capsule. It can eliminate the alcohol in your system within half an hour." Hearing this, they stared at me in shock. "You're saying this pill can make you completely sober in 30 minutes? I nodded. "More or less." "No way," they exclaimed, stunned. The live stream chat was once again filled with comments. "That's amazing. I need that pill. I work at a nightclub and have to drink until I puke every night." In the control room, the assistant and the director's eyes lit up. That pill was incredible. They both had a lot of business dinners and often had to drink. With a pill like this, they could drink as much as they wanted. Everyone wanted to know where they could buy these capsules. President Grant looked at me, shocked, and asked uncertainly, "Did you develop the sobriety pill?" I nodded and smiled. "Just a little something I came up with in my spare time." "No way," the viewers exclaimed in disbelief. A little something he came up with in his spare time? If this was mass-produced, it would make a fortune. A few of the viewers were pharmaceutical executives, and hearing about the pill's powerful effects, they all started crunching numbers. If they could get their hands on the formula, they would make so much money. On the other end, the assistant excitedly asked, "Chloe, can you sell me a few of those pills?" Chloe was also stunned. Her husband not only cured cancer, but also invented a sobriety pill. "Chloe," the assistant called out again when he saw she was distracted. Chloe snapped out of it. "If there are any left, I'll bring some for you tomorrow morning." The director beside her shyly added, "I'd like a few too." The comments started flying again. Chloe looked at them and shrugged helplessly. "I can't do anything about it. I doubt there are many left at home." The viewers immediately started making demands. "We strongly demand the sobriety capsule be brought to market. Hospitals need this, too. It could save people who are dying from alcohol poisoning." Chloe looked at the comments and said, "That's up to my husband. Besides, the show is still running and won't end until the end of the month." The viewers heard this and became curious. "By the way, now that so many people know Professor Miller cured cancer, he'll probably find out he's being live-streamed in a day or two, right?" In the control room, the director laughed at the comment. "Professor Miller probably won't find out about the live stream anytime soon. We've blocked viewers from the same city, so people in Austin can't see our stream for now. What if a news alert pops up on his browser, or he sees it on TV?" The director saw this comment and his heart skipped a beat. That's right. The person who cured cancer being revealed was a huge story. It would definitely be on the news. If it was on TV, there would be no hiding it, and the show couldn't continue. But then again, they had already uncovered this man's incredible identity. There probably wasn't much left to expose. With that thought, the director smiled. If Professor Miller finds out, it just means our first episode has come to a successful conclusion. On the screen, I heard President Grant and Mr. Davis's exclamations and was a bit taken aback. Two such distinguished men using such language. Take the pill first, I said, pouring them each a glass of water. 10 minutes later, President Grant said in amazement, I feel much more sober already. Me, too. President Grant looked at me and gave a thumbs up. You're the real deal. I felt a bit embarrassed. Compared to the cancer cure, the sobriety pill was nothing. Mr. Davis looked at me and asked, Professor Miller, are you planning to mass-produce the sobriety capsule? I nodded. Yes, it can be mass-produced. There are many situations where it could be useful, but we'll have to discuss the specific partnership next month. Mr. Davis replied happily, Okay, no rush. We'll follow your lead. The viewers were thrilled to hear that the sobriety capsule would be mass-produced. Finally, I won't have to drink until I puke every night, a girl who worked at a nightclub commented excitedly. On the screen, I was still chatting with President Grant and Mr. Davis. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, my phone suddenly rang. I glanced at it and answered, Mr. Sullivan, what's up? Why the call? Mr. Sullivan laughed on the other end. Professor Miller, I just landed. I'm in town on business and was hoping to visit you tomorrow. I could only reply, sure, come on over. President Grant and Mr. Davis are here, too. The voice on the other end sounded confused. President Grant? Mr. Davis? President Grant is the president of Aurelian University. You should know him. Mr. Davis is the chairman of Apex Pharma. Hearing this, Mr. Sullivan was surprised. Daniel Davis is there, too? Then I'll visit tomorrow morning. After I hung up, Mr. Davis asked curiously, who was that? I smiled. Riley. A colleague of yours, Michael Sullivan. You probably know him, right? Mr. Davis chuckled, oh, it's him. We're old acquaintances. Seeing my weary expression, Mr. Davis asked, what's wrong? It's nothing. It's just that since I got married, I've been pretending I can't cook. But these past few days, I've been cooking nonstop. Mr. Davis immediately suggested, why don't we go to a hotel tomorrow? That way you won't be so tired. No, I waved my hand. A guest is a guest. I have to be a good host. Besides, the food at a hotel isn't as good as mine, and it's nice to just chat and relax at home. Hearing this, President Grant laughed heartily. Then this old man is in for another treat tomorrow. We chatted until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Knowing Chloe would be home soon, President Grant and Mr. Davis quickly took their leave. I sat on the sofa, slowly savoring the fine tea President Grant had brought. Just then, my phone rang again. I saw the caller ID, Director Evans, and got straight to the point. Director Evans, what's the matter? Director Evans chuckled on the other end. Professor Miller, I'm officially informing you of something. I hope you're prepared. My expression turned serious. What is it? The director's tone became more serious. I've received orders from above. At the beginning of next month, when your identity is revealed, your latest research achievements will also be made public. In the live stream, the comments started pouring in again. Who is Professor Miller talking to? Why does he look so serious? I can't hear the other side. This is killing me. I thought all of the professor's identities had been revealed, but it feels like there's still more. There can't be another identity, can there? No matter how brilliant he is, his age is a factor. In reality, the viewers didn't think there could be any more hidden identities. The ones already revealed were incredible enough. They were mostly still watching to see how Chloe would take care of me when she got home tonight. In the control room, Chloe had already planned out how she would attend to her husband, and she couldn't wait to get home. Now, she felt an urge to worship her husband. It wasn't even 5:30 yet, and to Chloe, time was crawling. Every second felt like an eternity. The viewers seemed to notice Chloe's eagerness and started teasing her. Is Chloe totally idolizing Professor Miller right now? Is she feeling excited? Chloe saw the comments, coughed, and tried to look natural. You're overthinking it. I'm just thinking about making a few extra dishes when I get home. The viewers didn't buy it. Chloe wanted to go home early, which most likely meant she was eager to see the professor. On the screen, I was sitting on the sofa, sipping tea, and looking at my phone. I felt like something was off, like something was missing from the house. I frowned, the feeling growing stronger. What was missing? I took a sip of tea, frowning, and as I swallowed, my expression changed. Oh my God, I'm in deep trouble. I slammed my cup down and shot up from the sofa. My daughter, every day at 3:30, I pick up my daughter from preschool, and it was already past 5 o'clock. I grabbed my phone to call her teacher when I saw a message from Chloe. My mom picked up our daughter today. She's staying at her grandma's tonight. Seeing that, I let out a huge sigh of relief and quickly replied to Chloe. The viewers saw my sudden change in expression, as if something major had happened, and then saw me grab my phone, looking desperate to contact someone. They were all curious. After watching for a few days, Ethan has been very calm. Why is he so flustered all of a sudden? What happened to Professor Miller? Who is he messaging? Chloe received my message and felt a mix of exasperation and amusement. She knew I would forget to pick up our daughter, which is why she had arranged for her mom to get her in the afternoon. She had wanted to properly attend to her husband, but with their daughter around, it was always a bit restrictive. Chloe glanced at the chat and explained. Ethan was messaging me. He forgot to pick up our daughter from school. The viewers burst out laughing. Is that even his biological daughter? Ha ha. Where is the kid now? Shouldn't he call the teacher? Chloe chuckled. My parents picked her up. She's staying at their place tonight. I get it. I get it. Ha ha. Understood. Looks like there's going to be storm tonight. The viewer's reaction was even bigger. Chloe saw them teasing her, but surprisingly, she didn't blush. Instead, she turned to the director and said, when I get home, I'm turning off the cameras. The director chuckled, all right. The assistant also gave her a knowing look. At 5:40 p.m., when I saw my wife come home, I quickly stood up from the sofa. Did Grandpa and Grandma miss their granddaughter? Chloe didn't answer, just giggled, and then her hand, reaching into her bag, pressed her phone screen. The live stream immediately went black. The viewers started complaining. That's it? Do they think I can't afford to see the rest? I can pay. Seeing this, the assistant joked, all right, everyone. Let's call it a day. We've been streaming all day. Everyone's tired. That's all for today. See you tomorrow. Then the live stream ended. At that moment, Chloe hugged me tightly. I immediately had a bad feeling and seemed to understand why my mother-in-law had picked up our daughter. Chloe's voice was soft and her eyes were filled with intense love. I was completely bewildered. She didn't respond, but instead leaned in and kissed me. It wasn't until 7 o'clock in the evening that I finally got out of bed. Chloe was in a good mood. Honey, you rest for a bit. I'll go make dinner. I sat on the sofa completely confused. What was wrong with my wife today? She was like a hungry wolf. The next morning, after breakfast, Chloe gave me a kiss and said, honey, I'm off to work. I patted her head and smiled. Go on. I'll miss you. After she closed the door, I sat on the sofa thinking about last night and an idea for a new drug suddenly popped into my head. The moment Chloe left the house, she unblocked the cameras. There were already 300,000 people waiting in the live stream. When they saw me, the comments started flying. In the control room, the assistant looked at the cheerful Chloe and teased, Chloe, you're looking great today. Did you take some kind of special supplement? The viewers joined in the teasing. Chloe didn't answer, but instead picked up her phone and sent a message. Her mother replied instantly. What's wrong with Ethan? Did you two have a fight? Chloe's face flushed and she replied, no fight. I just wanted our daughter to stay with you for a couple of days. Her mother understood immediately and sent back a message. You're not getting any younger. If you want a second child, you should get on it. Chloe was speechless. Though embarrassed, she picked up her phone and sent me a message. Honey, do you want a son? I was surprised to receive the message. You want a second child? Yes, I want another one. It'll make the house livelier. Seeing her message, I smiled and replied, okay, let's do it. Great, honey. I'll tell my mom to keep our daughter for a few more days. Hearing that, I suddenly felt a wave of exhaustion. After settling the second child plan, I picked up my phone and called President Grant. President Grant, why don't you and Mr. Davis come over for some breakfast? President Grant laughed on the other end. We've already had breakfast. Mr. Davis and I will head over to your place now. Okay, I replied and hung up. I put my phone away and got busy in the kitchen. Before long, President Grant and Mr. Davis arrived. I made tea and looking at President Grant asked with a smile, President Grant, didn't Jessica come? President Grant chuckled. She thinks we're too old and feels awkward eating with us. She went to hang out with her friend. I was speechless. Hey, I'm young, too. Just then, Mr. Davis chimed in with a smile. I called Michael Sullivan before I came. He should be here soon. Then he asked curiously, Professor Miller, how do you know Michael Sullivan? I chuckled. I met him at a banquet. He's here on business and just stopping by to see me. In reality, Mr. Sullivan, like Mr. Davis, was the head of a leading domestic pharmaceutical company. I knew him because another drug I developed was being produced at his company. It was still confidential, so I couldn't say much, but everything would be revealed on the 1st of next month. Mr. Davis was a bit puzzled but nodded. He had spoken to Mr. Sullivan yesterday, who also said he was coming on business and would visit me. But he felt something was off about him, though he couldn't put his finger on it. About 10 minutes later, there was a knock at the door. It must be Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Davis stood up with a smile and I went to open the door, also smiling. Before me stood a middle-aged man in a sharp suit. "Professor, long time no see," Mr. Sullivan said excitedly, extending his right hand, his left holding 2 gift boxes of ginseng. I shook his hand and smiled. "It has been a while. Come in, have a seat. I just brewed a pot of Dahompo tea." Mr. Sullivan was taken aback. Dahompo? He had only tried it once, and that was thanks to someone else. After greeting Mr. Davis, Mr. Sullivan looked at the elderly man beside him. I smiled. "Let me introduce you. This is the president of Aurelian University, Mr. William Grant." Hearing this, Mr. Sullivan quickly stepped forward to shake his hand. "President Grant, it's an honor. I'm Michael Sullivan, chairman of Horizon Therapeutics." President Grant smiled. "Mr. Davis told me about you yesterday. Please, sit down." The viewers were impressed, but not overly shocked. After all, Professor Miller had cured cancer. It wasn't surprising that he knew company chairman. On the screen, the 4 of us were sipping the fine tea and chatting. Mr. Sullivan looked at Mr. Davis and asked curiously, "Daniel, how did you and the professor meet?" "The same way you did, at a banquet, Mr. Davis replied, not revealing the real reason. The reason was simple. Without permission from his superiors, he couldn't say a word. Mr. Sullivan nodded. "Last night, I told you I met the professor at a banquet." "That was a lie." Mr. Davis frowned. "Why would you lie to me?" Then, Mr. Sullivan gave a mysterious smile. "Because I signed a non-disclosure agreement. I can't reveal anything about the professor. However, Mr. Sullivan," I cut him off before he could finish. Seeing my frown, Mr. Sullivan was taken aback. What was going on? The professor seemed completely unaware. In fact, last night around 8 o'clock, Mr. Sullivan had received a call from his superiors, informing him that the 6-year-old NDA was terminated and he was free to speak. His superiors hadn't mentioned whether the professor had been informed. Could it be they haven't had a chance to tell the professor yet? Beside them, Mr. Davis and President Grant heard the mention of an NDA and saw my solemn expression. They immediately guessed what was happening. Mr. Sullivan had signed an NDA related to Professor Miller, and he was the chairman of Horizon Therapeutics. For years, Horizon had been mass-producing 2 world-changing drugs, a vaccine to prevent HIV and a cure for AIDS. The developer of these drugs had never been publicly identified. Could it be? President Grant and Mr. Davis's hearts pounded at the thought. If that was the case, Professor Miller was truly terrifying. They glanced at me, then at Mr. Sullivan. Although they were intensely curious, they knew that learning something they shouldn't could bring them trouble. Mr. Sullivan was still a bit dazed. He looked at me uncertainly. "Professor Miller, you haven't been notified yet?" "Notified? I did receive a notification yesterday, but it had nothing to do with this." Seeing my reaction, Mr. Sullivan was sure I didn't know and said directly, "Last night at 8 o'clock, I received a call from my superiors. They said your work on curing AIDS can now be made public. The previous NDA is terminated." Mr. Sullivan's words struck President Grant and Mr. Davis like a bolt of lightning. What? The person who cured AIDS was also Ethan Miller. In the live stream, comments flew across the screen as countless viewers were left tingling with shock. AIDS and cancer were 2 of the world's greatest medical challenges. Cancer was one thing. At least in the early to mid stages, there was a chance of a cure, and even in late stages, miracles could happen. But AIDS was completely different. The HIV virus replicated and mutated endlessly. Over 200 different HIV vaccines had been developed in the past, and all had failed in clinical trials. 3 years ago, the United States made a groundbreaking announcement. AIDS had been completely cured. At first, many were skeptical, but as more and more patients were cured, the doubt slowly faded away. My God, this is insane. Professor Miller cured AIDS, too. In the control room, the assistant and the director were also stunned. Ethan Miller was just too brilliant. Chloe's mouth had been hanging open this whole time. The director beside her was already searching online, primarily looking up Mr. Sullivan's identity. From what he could find, Michael Sullivan was the head of Horizon Therapeutics, and the HIV vaccine and cure were produced there. Furthermore, the photos of him online matched the man on the live stream perfectly. This meant that Ethan Miller had, in fact, cured AIDS. The director announced to the viewers, "I've checked Michael Sullivan's background. He is indeed the chairman of Horizon Therapeutics, and the HIV vaccine and cure are produced by his company." This means Ethan Miller really did cure AIDS. Incredible. I'm speechless. From this day on, I'm Professor Miller's biggest fan. If anyone dares to say a bad word about the professor, I'll hunt them down. So amazing. I'm a believer now. Fanatical comments flew across the screen. On the screen, President Grant and Mr. Davis were visibly shaken. President Grant said in a heavy voice, "Professor Miller, you are truly extraordinary." At that moment, William Grant felt completely humbled. Although he was the president of a prestigious university and had made his own academic contributions, they paled in comparison to Ethan's achievements. Mr. Davis's eyes were also filled with deep admiration. Seeing their reactions, I felt a bead of sweat form on my brow. "Please, you two, calm down." President Grant shook his head, his hands trembling as he grasped mine. I quickly helped him to a seat. "President Grant, please don't get too excited. It's not good for your health. Even though I cured AIDS, it's not that big of a deal. I built upon the work of countless predecessors. It wasn't my achievement alone. I was just standing on the shoulders of giants to complete the final step." President Grant shook his head. "Professor Miller, you are far too modest. Past researchers had a wealth of data, so why couldn't they cure AIDS? Why were you the only one who could?" I was at a loss for words. After a while, President Grant's emotions stabilized. We all sipped our tea and chatted. Then Mr. Davis looked at me curiously. "Professor Miller, could you tell us about your experience curing AIDS?" At that, 700,000 pairs of ears in the livestream perked up. I took a sip of tea and began slowly. When I started the project, I reviewed the existing data and then arranged for 10 patients to be monitored so I could observe the virus in their bodies. I discovered that the HIV virus replicated and mutated at a speed beyond imagination. After the immune system identifies the virus and produces antibodies to attack it, the virus has already mutated. The antibodies can't keep up, creating a vicious cycle. Eventually, the immune system is destroyed, but the virus continues to replicate and mutate rapidly, leading to a complete collapse of the immune system. Everyone listened intently as I continued, treating it like a casual conversation. In short, the goal was to strengthen the immune system so that it could identify the virus faster than it could replicate and mutate. That was the approach for developing the drug. The vaccine was a bit different. HIV mutates randomly without any pattern, which took a lot of effort to overcome. "Professor Miller, you're truly brilliant. Please," I waved my hand exasperated. "Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's chat about something else." I was getting a little tired of President Grant's constant amazement. In the live stream, the comments started pouring in again. "Professor Miller is so humble. It's hard to believe the person who cured 2 of the world's deadliest diseases is so modest. Amazing. By the way, with over 1 million people in this chat, has anyone here had AIDS?" Just then, some comments appeared. "I had it. It's no big deal now since I'm cured. It's a sad story. 10 years ago, I was out and met this really forward woman. I thought it was my lucky day, but later I found out she was HIV positive and was intentionally spreading it. If it weren't for Professor Miller, my life would have been ruined. My story is similar to the one above. I advise everyone to be careful out there. You guys were lucky. I went to an internet cafe, and as soon as I sat down, I felt something prick me." The million-plus viewers suddenly fell silent reading the comments from those who had contracted AIDS. After a few people posted respect, many others followed suit, and the chat began to fill up with messages of tribute. In the control room, the assistant exclaimed, "Wow, your husband is just incredible." On the screen, President Grant's phone suddenly rang. He glanced at the caller ID and answered with a serious expression. "Secretary Thompson." After listening to the person on the other end, he said, "Yes, all right. I understand." Just as President Grant hung up, Mr. Davis's phone rang. He also walked aside with a serious expression to take the call. About 2 minutes later, he hung up and had just sat down when my phone rang. I saw the caller ID, Secretary Thompson, stood up and walked aside to answer. "Secretary Thompson." The secretary got straight to the point. "Professor Miller, your work on curing cancer and AIDS no longer needs to be kept confidential." I frowned. "Are these 2 things being officially announced now?" "Yes," the secretary replied. Just then, President Grant looked at me and said, I just got a call from my superiors. They said your work on curing cancer can be discussed. The NDA is no longer in effect." Mr. Sullivan was stunned. He looked at President Grant. "Cancer? Professor Miller cured cancer, too?" President Grant chuckled. "Mr. Davis and I have known about that for a while. As for you, if you hadn't come today, I probably wouldn't have known the professor also cured AIDS." The viewers were also discussing this. Having seen the three of us receive calls one after another and hearing about NDAs, they realized that Ethan's identity had been a secret until now. "Director, you might be in big trouble. Professor Miller's identity was a national secret and now it's been leaked because of your show. How many years in prison will the director get?" The viewers' discussion made the director's face turn white. The assistant also realized the gravity of the situation, but didn't they just say those things don't need to be secret anymore? It should be fine, right? Chloe reassured the terrified director and assistant, though she wasn't so sure herself. "I'm going to the restroom," the director said, his face pale, as he left the control room to call the show's backer. "Mr. Sterling, have you been watching the live stream?" The backer answered immediately, his tone calm. "I've been watching. It's not a big deal. The professor's work was confidential before, but as they just said, the NDAs are terminated. I'll handle the rest." The director asked uncertainly, "Mr. Sterling, are you sure it's okay? We live-streamed the president of Aurelian and 2 major corporate chairmen. I will take care of it. You just focus on your job. Mr. Sterling, please, just give me some reassurance." The backer was silent for a moment. This was authorized by higher-ups. They want to use the live stream to boost the professor's profile. "I understand, Mr. Sterling," the director said excitedly. The backer added a warning. "Keep this quiet. I'm telling you this because it was just authorized. The higher-ups have their reasons and we just need to follow orders." The director was stunned. If Mr. Sterling just got authorization, did that mean the higher-ups were with him right now? He quickly said, "Don't worry. I won't tell anyone. I'll do a good job." After hanging up, the director let out a long sigh, feeling a sense of relief he hadn't felt before. All his worries vanished. When he returned to the control room, the assistant looked at him anxiously. "Director, is everything going to be okay?" The director smiled. "I just spoke to the backer. Mr. Sterling said it's fine. If the professor's identity couldn't be revealed, we'd be done for. But since it no longer needs to be a secret, we'll be okay." On the screen, the 4 of us were eating and talking. Mr. Davis looked at me and asked a question that had been on his mind. "Professor Miller, did you develop the cure first or the vaccine?" His curiosity was justified. Normally, if a cure for AIDS was successfully developed, there would be no need for a vaccine. President Grant also looked at me curious. I chuckled. "I developed the drug first, then the vaccine. Logically, once you have a cure, there's no need for a vaccine. I wanted to develop the vaccine partly to challenge myself and partly to make more money." Make more money? President Grant and Mr. Davis were confused. Couldn't he make money with the cure? Mr. Sullivan smiled. "Think back to when the drug and vaccine were launched. At the time, we claimed the cure was difficult to mass produce. So it was only supplied domestically, while the vaccine could be mass produced for global distribution." President Grant and Mr. Davis instantly understood. When the news was first announced, it was met with worldwide skepticism. But as more and more patients were cured, the critics fell silent. Day on, the world demanded that Horizon Therapeutics mass-produce the AIDS cure. But Horizon issued a statement claiming that some components of the drug were difficult to extract, making mass production impossible. For the time being, it would only be supplied to the US, but the vaccine could be produced in large quantities. Although other countries didn't believe this, they had no choice but to opt for the vaccine. Some, resentful of America's profits, tried to reverse engineer the vaccine, but every attempt failed. Left with no other option, the world began to purchase the vaccine in massive quantities. Recalling those events, President Grant and Mr. Davis felt a sense of satisfaction. The viewers also remembered those years. That was so satisfying. Horizon Therapeutics must have made a fortune from the vaccine. I remember when the vaccine was later made free in the US, it drove the rest of the world crazy. Ha ha. Serves them right. Yeah, it was a brilliant move. 1.5 billion doses all free. Our country is amazing. The director and assistant were also excited as they had both lived through that time. Americans got the vaccine for free while foreigners had to pay $1,000 a dose. Chloe also smiled. It was hard to describe her feelings, but in short, she felt incredibly proud. On the stream, President Grant and Mr. Davis both gave Mr. Sullivan a thumbs up. That was well done. Mr. Sullivan shook his head and smiled. It was actually the professor's idea. I explained, I was tired of their practices. Plus, their drugs were sold at a higher price here, so I set the vaccine price at $1,000 a dose. Mr. Davis then asked curiously, "What's the production cost of the vaccine?" Mr. Sullivan smiled and held up 3 fingers. Mr. Davis guessed, $30? Mr. Sullivan nodded with a grin. You got it. $30 cost, $970 profit. That much? President Grant looked at Mr. Sullivan in shock. The viewers were so stunned they could only type OMG in the chat. That profit margin is insane. Besides the US, there are billions of people in the world. Even if only a fifth of them get vaccinated, the market is huge. Horizon Therapeutics must be rolling in money. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, Mr. Sullivan. But as great as he is, Professor Miller is even greater. All hail the professor. Not all of the million viewers were American, and for them, this was even harder to swallow. Another group felt even worse. Those who had once been American citizens but had since emigrated to other developed countries. When they first left, they were proud, feeling superior. Now, seeing the country they had left behind thriving so much, they felt a bitter unease, like dumping someone only to find out years later that their ex was doing much better than them. It was a complicated feeling. The most frustrating part was that life abroad wasn't as great as they had imagined, but there were no do-overs. They could never get their American citizenship back. They were now foreigners, and to the people in their new countries, they weren't truly local either. Most saw them as immigrants. On the stream, we continued to eat and talk, the conversation growing more and more animated. Mr. Sullivan was a bit of a talker, and with the alcohol, he became the life of the party. Mr. Sullivan laughed. I saw the latest sales figures the other day. We've sold 3 billion doses of the vaccine. I think we've pretty much saturated the market. I discussed it with the board, and we've decided to stop selling the vaccine and start selling the cure. President Grant asked curiously, "How are you planning to price the cure?" Mr. Sullivan smiled and held up 1 finger. $10,000 a box. To be cured, you need 3 boxes. President Grant thought for a moment. With so many people abroad already vaccinated, not many will buy the cure. Mr. Sullivan nodded, not too many, but there are still a lot of AIDS patients in other countries. There will still be plenty of buyers. Mr. Davis asked, "What's the cost of 1 box of the cure?" Mr. Sullivan chuckled, "Not much. $530. President Grant and Mr. Davis were stunned. A cost of $530 and a price of $10,000? A profit of over $9,000? Seeing their expressions, Mr. Sullivan smiled faintly. The drugs those foreign pharmaceutical companies sell us have even higher profit margins. We're only selling it for $10,000 a box. That's very reasonable. By the way, the professor was involved in setting the price. Hearing this, I chuckled. I made the final decision on the price. It's high, but who's to blame when foreign companies sell us their drugs at exorbitant prices? I'm a scientist, and while some say science should have no borders, and I agree with that sentiment. But while science may have no borders, scientists have a country. I am a scientist, and more importantly, I am an American scientist. At this, the viewers started commenting again. That pricing is perfect. $30,000 to cure AIDS is probably acceptable for most. A certain country's drug costs $200 to make and sells for over $70,000. If it were me, I'd price it at $100,000. They take advantage of us, so we should give them a taste of their own medicine. Among the 700,000 viewers, there were some dissenting voices. A few foreigners were furious to hear that the cure was so cheap to produce, yet sold for so much. The cost is so low, but the price is so high. When a scientist cures a disease, the drug should be affordable. I agree. The drug should be sold for around $400 a box. Many people saw these opposing comments, clicked on their profiles, and found they were all from other countries. They immediately started firing back. Science has no borders, but scientists have nationalities. Professor Miller is an American. So what if he sells it for $10,000 a box? Why don't you think about how you sell drugs that cost $200 to make for a fortune? What's wrong with us selling it for $10,000? Deal with it. In the control room, the director saw this and immediately blocked the foreign accounts, kicking them out of the live stream. He then announced, "I've blocked them and kicked them out." The viewers were not happy. Why did you kick them out? Let us yell at them first, then kick them. Yeah, I wasn't done yelling. That's not cool, director. On the screen, President Grant raised a full glass of strong liquor. Come, a toast to our Professor Miller. Let's down this glass. Mr. Davis also raised a full glass. Cheers. Seeing them about to down a full glass of hard liquor, Mr. Sullivan was shocked and quickly tried to stop them. No, that's strong stuff. Drink a little less, a little less. Hearing this, President Grant and Mr. Davis exchanged a look, both thinking the same thing. Let's mess with Mr. Sullivan. I saw what they were planning and decided to play along. I put down my glass and said, drinking by the glass is no fun. How about we drink straight from the bottle? President Grant laughed heartily. All right, from the bottle it is. Mr. Davis also laughed. I'm going to drink 5 bottles. Mr. Sullivan couldn't believe it. They must all be drunk and bragging. So, even Professor Miller boasts when he's had too much to drink. From the bottle, hard liquor? But to his surprise, the next second, I actually turned around and got 4 bottles of liquor. Mr. Sullivan's face turned pale, but he still didn't quite believe it. How could they drink straight from the bottle? This was hard liquor. He had drunk with Mr. Davis before and knew his tolerance. If he chugged a whole bottle, he'd end up in the hospital, especially since he had already had more than a glass. Now, President Grant, Mr. Davis, and I each had a bottle, caps off, and we all looked at the motionless Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Davis raised an eyebrow at him. Why aren't you opening your bottle? Seeing Mr. Davis acting so serious, as if he was really going to chug it, Mr. Sullivan still found it hard to believe. He suspected they were just trying to scare him. So, he also twisted off the cap. President Grant said, all right, from the bottle it is. Cheers. Mr. Davis laughed and then started chugging straight from the bottle. The sight left Mr. Sullivan completely stunned. They were really chugging it? This was insane. It was hard liquor. Drinking too much could be dangerous. The viewers saw Mr. Sullivan's shocked expression and couldn't help but laugh. This is hilarious. Professor Miller, President Grant, and Mr. Davis are so playful, ganging up to scare Mr. Sullivan. Ha, Mr. Sullivan doesn't know about the sobriety capsule yet. His scared face is kind of cute. In the control room, the assistant glanced at Chloe with a smile. Chloe, your husband is pretty fun. Chloe just smiled, not saying a word, her eyes fixed on her wonderful husband on the screen. On the screen, within a minute, the 3 of us had each finished a bottle. We put the bottles down and all looked at Mr. Sullivan. He started to sweat. If I drink this whole bottle, especially this fast, I'll probably end up in the hospital. Hearing this, Mr. Davis chuckled. Don't worry, I'm here. I'll call 911 for you. Mr. Sullivan was speechless. Weren't you supposed to discourage binge drinking? Seeing his predicament, I laughed. Go ahead and drink. It's a good chance to try the sobriety capsule I developed. Sobriety capsule? Mr. Sullivan was confused. The name suggested it could make you sober up quickly. He looked at President Grant and Mr. Davis, who were both calm. They must have known about the capsule and probably even taken it before. No wonder they were so calm. No wonder they dared to chug from the bottle. A thought struck Mr. Sullivan. A sobriety capsule? The professor had developed such an amazing drug? He wanted to try it. The next second, he tilted his head back and started chugging. Seeing this, I took out sobriety capsules and gave one to each of them. Wait until you start feeling the alcohol, then take the pill to experience its effects. Mr. Sullivan nodded. 5 minutes later, the alcohol started to hit. The 4 of us immediately took a capsule. After another 10 minutes, they could clearly feel the pill working. 20 minutes later, Mr. Sullivan looked at me in amazement. Professor Miller, this pill is incredibly effective. I chuckled. After taking it, it takes about 30 minutes to break down most of the alcohol in your system, and it's completely gone within 40 minutes. Mr. Sullivan was deeply impressed. This Professor Miller was young, but everything he did was astonishing. He had cured cancer, cured AIDS, and even developed the sobriety capsule. If this capsule was brought to market, it would be a massive bestseller. The viewers had once again witnessed the power of the sobriety capsule and were amazed, eagerly awaiting its release. With this pill, I'll never be afraid of drinking again. Even if it gets approved, it'll probably take a year or 2 to hit the market. Meanwhile, in the Austin Police Chief's office, Chief Anderson was watching the livestream. A few days ago, his superiors had asked him to visit Ethan and make an appearance on the stream to boost his profile. At the time, he thought they wanted to use the show to reveal Ethan's role in curing cancer. He never imagined that after watching for a couple of days, he would discover Ethan had so many other accomplishments. He also understood why the higher-ups knew about the secret live show from the very beginning. A person like Ethan would undoubtedly be under constant protection. There were surely plainclothes officers around him at all times, and even Chloe, their child, and his close relatives were likely being protected. Chief Anderson sighed. He remembered signing an NDA a few years ago when his superiors had informed him that Ethan had cured cancer. At the time, because Ethan was going to be living in Austin long term, he was given a mission to handle any matter related to Ethan, big or small, with his full support. On the stream, the four of us chatted until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Before leaving, President Grant asked me, "What are your plans for tomorrow?" I replied, "My wife has the day off tomorrow, so we have to go to her parents' house." President Grant nodded, and then the three of them left. The house suddenly became quiet. I thought for a moment, then got up and went to the kitchen to start cooking. I wanted to make 3 dishes for Chloe before she got home, so she could have a nice meal. At 5:30, I sent Chloe a message. When she received it, her heart ached for some reason, especially after learning he had cured AIDS. Back then, the mere mention of AIDS was terrifying. Her husband must have been exposed to the virus countless times to cure it. If he had accidentally gotten infected, it would have been devastating. Chloe looked at the message and replied. After putting her phone away, she said to the director and assistant, "When I get home, I'm ending the stream for the night." The director and assistant had no objections. Surprisingly, the viewers didn't protest either. In fact, they were very supportive. "I'm leaving now," Chloe said, glancing at the chat and ignoring the comments. In the blink of an eye, Chloe was home. "You're back." She walked up to me, her eyes full of love, and wrapped her arms gently around my neck. I brought the food to the table, and after we sat down, Chloe picked up a piece of stir-fried pork and held it to my lips. My wife has been acting a little strange lately. She was usually in a normal mood, and it was normal for her to serve me food, but feeding me directly like this hadn't happened in a long time. I had just eaten the first piece when she picked up another and held it to my mouth. I started to sweat a little. "Are you treating me like a child?" Chloe just chuckled. "You need to eat to have strength." What has gotten into my wife these past few days? We ended up spending over half an hour just on dinner. After we finished, Chloe looked at me and said, "You go take a shower first. I'll clean up and then take one, too." I went to the master bathroom to shower, and after Chloe finished cleaning up, the next morning it was 9 o'clock before I slowly got out of bed. Looks like I need to hurry up and develop that stamina-boosting candy. By this time, Chloe had already left for work. After breakfast, I was about to sit down and watch some TV when an unexpected visitor arrived, the president of the Bank of America. Without hesitation, I said to Mr. Thompson, "Donate the rest of the money to the government for military spending." Then, a thought struck me, and I picked up the phone to call Mr. Davis. When he answered, "Mr. Davis," laughed, "Professor Miller, you miss me already?" I chuckled. "I have formulas for a cold and pneumonia drug with negligible side effects. A severe cold can be cured in 3 days, a mild one in a day. Oh, and I'll give you the formula for the sobriety capsule we talked about." Mr. Davis was ecstatic. "I'm booking a flight right now. Once we mass-produce these, you'll be making a few billion a year." I replied nonchalantly, "Someone like me is taken care of by the country. I'm not interested in money. I donate most of what I earn anyway. Besides benefiting humanity, my main goal in developing these drugs is to bring down prices and, ideally, put those unscrupulous pharmaceutical companies out of business." On the other end of the line, Mr. Davis was deeply moved. His eyes filled with admiration. I then made another call to Michael Sullivan, the chairman of Horizon Therapeutics. "Mr. Sullivan, find some time to come see me again. I've developed a hemorrhoid treatment with both topical and oral medication. It can cure them in 7 days." Mr. Sullivan's expression changed. The hemorrhoid treatments currently on the market were only effective for mild cases. Severe cases required surgery, which was extremely painful both during and after. Some patients described it as passing broken glass, and the professor was saying his drug could cure it in 7 days. The value of such a drug was immense. As the saying goes, 9 out of 10 people have them. Once this drug hit the market, sales would skyrocket. Mr. Sullivan quickly said, "I'm booking a flight right now." I nodded. "All right, that's all for now. I have a guest here." Beside me, Mr. Thompson stared at me in shock. This man was about to completely reshape the pharmaceutical industry. Just then, something strange happened in the live stream. "Whoa, what's going on? I can't type." "Professor Miller." "Me neither. I can't type." "Ethan Miller." "Not even with symbols in between." In the control room, the director and his team saw the comments and were startled. They couldn't type Ethan Miller. The 3 of them tried and found it was true. "Try it on iMessage," the assistant suggested. He then sent a message to Chloe containing only the name Ethan Miller. A second later, Chloe stared at her phone and frowned. I really didn't get it. The assistant was confused. His phone said the message was sent successfully. At that moment, everyone realized what was happening. The higher-ups had intervened. Then, another viewer commented, I can't type the name of the show now, either. What's going on? I just asked my mom to search for it, and she couldn't find it. What the viewers didn't know was that in the outside world, a major announcement was being made in the news. In the control room, just as the director was about to call the backer, he received a message from Mr. Sterling. Continue with the show. The director looked at the message and asked the question on his mind. What's happening? A lot of people can't find the live stream, and the professor's name is blocked. The higher-ups have stepped in. From now on, no new viewers can join the stream, but existing viewers can come and go as they please. You don't need to worry about anything else. Just keep the stream running. Oh, and pay close attention to the news for the next couple of days. Okay. The director put his phone away and announced to the viewers, I've just received an update. The issue with the show's name and the professor's name is due to intervention from the higher-ups. Viewers who have already joined the stream can come and go freely, but no new viewers will be able to join. The viewers all had a look of understanding. So, the higher-ups were involved, but why would they do this? Professor Miller had cured so many diseases. Shouldn't they be trying to increase his exposure, not limit it? The director was also confused and could only say, everyone, keep an eye on the news lately. Maybe you'll find the answer there. On the other side, Chloe's mother had been in a state of shock for the past 2 days. She desperately wanted to ask her son-in-law about it in person, but given the situation, if Ethan found out he was being live-streamed, the show would probably have to end. Then, an idea struck her, and she picked up her phone to call my mother. The call connected quickly. Hello, it's been a while. Is there a reason for your call today? Chloe's mother composed herself and asked, I wanted to ask you something. Do you know who cured cancer? My mother chuckled on the other end. It was Ethan, of course. Why do you ask? Chloe's mother was speechless. Such a direct answer. She then asked, what about AIDS? That was Ethan, too. Are you watching that secret live show? Yes, I am. Don't tell me you also found out about him curing AIDS and cancer from the show. No, his father and I have known for years. We didn't say anything because we both signed NDAs. Chloe's mother gasped. Ethan solved so many of the world's problems, and you're not surprised? My mother laughed. Not at all. Ethan has been a prodigy since he was a child. He could read by 5, was always top of his class, and was a top national scholar. Oh, and he was fluent in 6 languages by the time he was in high school. Nothing he does surprises us. And when he was 19, he became I can't tell you that yet. Became what at 19? Why did you stop? I can't say. You'll find out on October 1st. I really can't say right now. Chloe's mother's heart was in turmoil. It sounded like Ethan had an even bigger secret. On the screen, Mr. Thompson and I were enjoying our drinks. Just as we were getting into it, both our phones pinged with a notification. A news alert popped up, published by the Federal News Network. The headline read, Various global rankings to be announced starting September 9th. World's richest list to be released tomorrow, September 9th. At almost the same time, everyone's phones buzzed with the same news alert. People were curious. Why was a government-backed news agency releasing the world's richest list? And it sounded like there would be other lists besides that one. Many of the viewers on the live stream also saw the news. Professor Miller has over $600 billion. If he's on the list, he'll be the richest person in the world. So, that's why I think I get it now. The reason his name and the show's name are blocked and no new viewers can join is to prevent overexposure before the announcement. I have a feeling Professor Miller's name is going to be on that list. If he's on the world's richest list, the whole world is going to lose its mind. In the control room, Chloe was also getting very excited. Would Ethan's name be on the list? If it was and he was at the top spot, just the thought of it made her heart race. The afternoon flew by and around 2 o'clock, Mr. Thompson got up to leave. Professor Miller, perhaps your name will be on that list. I just smiled and said nothing. After he left, I picked up my phone and called Secretary Thompson. When he answered, I got straight to the point. Secretary Thompson, the news says the world's richest list is being released tomorrow. My name isn't going to be on it, is it? The secretary laughed. The list is indeed related to you. The higher-ups want to create a buzz and draw the world's attention to our country. He then added seriously, in recent years, our country's technology has developed at an explosive rate. We've caught up to developed nations in many fields and even surpassed other superpowers. Our people have become more and more confident. Releasing these lists is a way to further boost national pride and also serve as a deterrent to the rest of the world. The next morning at 10 o'clock, media outlets across the country displayed the exact same image on phones, TVs, and other devices. In large letters, the screen read, "The world's richest." In the bottom right corner, it said, "One name revealed every half hour." Wealthy individuals from all over the world had heard the news that the American government was releasing its own top 10 richest list. Everyone was puzzled. The current top 10 had no Americans. Announcing the list would only boost other countries' prestige. Why were they doing this? With questions in their minds, they waited for the results. With 5 minutes until the 10th name was revealed, the world waited. As the countdown ended, the name appeared on the screen. Number 10, Sergey Brin, nationality, United States, personal assets, $93.4 billion. The announcement of the 10th name sent shockwaves around the world. Impossible. That has to be a mistake. Sergey Brin should be number 9. It's only been a few months since the last list. The rankings can't have changed that much. In his estate, Sergey Brin stared at the list on his computer screen, frowning. 3 months ago, he was 9th. Now he was 10th. Who had pushed him down? The world's top billionaires and financial bloggers were all baffled. In the live stream, the viewers were going crazy. "I'm trying to comment, but I can't type the professor's name. I know who it is, but I can't say it. This is so frustrating." Me too. I'm in the official news stream's chat, just yelling. It's driving me crazy. Everyone, let's go to the official news stream and set them straight. Let's go. In an instant, many people left the secret livestream and flooded the official news channel. In just 30 seconds, the viewer count dropped from 1.5 million to 1 million. The director in the control room was stunned. The official news stream had gained over 500,000 viewers in 30 seconds. His current viewer count was over 5 million. Many people were questioning why the government was releasing a list that seemed to only praise others. What's the point of this? Exactly. They should stop this announcement. Just then, the chat was suddenly spammed with the same comment. They're releasing this list because the richest person in the world is an American. Someone you would never imagine. The uninformed viewers saw the spam and were confused. Is this for real? Many people started asking. You're saying the richest person is an American? Who is it? Yeah, tell us. Who is it? Those who knew the truth wanted to say, but all the keywords were blocked. They couldn't say it even if they wanted to. It was infuriating. The official stream then revealed the 9th name. Number 9, Larry Page, nationality, United States, personal assets, $97.2 billion. Time passed and the list continued down to the 3rd name. As the 2nd name was about to be revealed, everyone was speculating. Number 2 must be the mystery person. I'm so curious who it could be. Someone next to them frowned. I have a feeling number 2 isn't the mystery person. Surprisingly, no one argued. At this point, anything seemed possible. The whole world was glued to their screens. Then, the 2nd name slowly appeared. Number 2, Jeff Bezos, nationality, United States, president of Amazon, personal assets, $191.4 billion. When the 2nd name was announced, the world erupted. In the control room, Chloe was incredibly excited because her husband's name was about to appear at the very top of the list. As time ticked by, the countdown to the number 1 spot began. When it ended, a line of text slowly faded in on the screen. Number 1, Ethan Miller, nationality, United States, personal assets, $613.1 billion. Note, specific details about Ethan Miller will be revealed in the upcoming lists. I stared at the screen surprised. Weren't they supposed to wait until October 1st to reveal everything? Why were they announcing my identity now? I picked up my phone and made a call. Secretary Thompson, I thought my identity wasn't supposed to be revealed until October 1st. Why is it being announced in these lists now? The secretary considered for a moment. The value of your work, curing cancer, AIDS, lung disease, even the new sobriety capsule, will be revealed through these lists. Also, after discussion with the higher-ups, it has been decided to announce the Project Olympus and aerospace carrier programs as well. Of course, for now, we won't say that you developed these next-generation weapons. We will only announce their existence. Your other personal information will remain strictly confidential.